So this one, let's do the auctions. Let's talk about
Yes.
competitor insights. This would be a pretty simple one, but I imagine this does come up from time to time. So what's the best way? I'm pulling this. I'm stealing this, guys, from PPC Reddit. So what is the best way of visualizing auction insights since it was removed from Data Studio, which is what it used to be called? It's the Looker Studio now.
Mm.
But Michael, how do you think about this? What's the best way to visualize auction insights? I just think you download the data and you visualize it through whatever tool that you want. But what do you think?
I don't visualize the data. I just literally look at the auction insight return and just look at it there. Like I just look at the numbers. Now, so I'm not taking this on tangent. I'm trying to pop the bubble here. But maybe it's just my mind. Like I prefer seeing spreadsheets and data rather than visualizations because I feel like a lot of visualizations, number one, are not visualized properly to actually show the message or the actual with clarity. When I have seen them in the past, I haven't found them to be beneficial. So I actually prefer to go into the account, look at it on either an account level, campaign level, ad group level, or even sometimes a keyword level to see the auction insights from there and just seeing usually what competitors, how we're ranking against competitors. So for this doesn't affect people can't even see, but it literally says the post is competitor insights. What's the best way of visualizing auction insights, as you said?
Yeah. So I see a lot of benefit to visualizing auction insights in particular because I really want to see the trends over time. I want to see during certain times of the year whether those things go up or down, whether a certain competitor has popped up more recently versus in the past. I want to see or the opposite, which is interesting, is when you start seeing certain competitors in the same auctions as you start being less aggressive, right? Depending on the metric you're looking at. And that's going to be great because sometimes we can capitalize on that short-term or long-term trend by bidding more aggressively, maybe going after their brand if that's a part of our strategy. So I do think visualizing it does make some sense because it's just a quick way to tell the story that it's trending in a certain direction.
Okay.
And I think for a lot of stakeholders, when you're reporting on that type of data, some are big on competition, some could really care less. But just for stakeholder, they love seeing just those lines, right? Like, oh, okay, Amazon's
Yeah.
really cranking up the bids lately, and we're fighting for impression share. I think it's just easier to tell that story in one image, as sometimes they have trouble with the table. So I get it. So, but that's how I think about it. Yeah, and as far as like how to do it, again, simple answer. I think it's just download it. If you're not comfortable using the Google Ads API, which I don't blame you, just go into the interface, go to the ad group that you want, or the campaign that you want, or whatever. Download the data. It's right there available for you.
Yeah.
Choose a long date range. They actually made it a lot better than it used to be, Michael. I don't know if you remember, but in the past, at least that was my understanding, was you were limited to like a very small window of time that you could download the auction insights data. Now you could go back, I think like 90 days, 180 days, whatever. I think I went back the other day to like 365 or something like that, just to get a year's worth of data. And you could see right there, when you download it, it's got every single day. You can segment by day or week or whatever, and you can get that nice visual with you against everybody else. And shout out to Frederick Valle's company Optimizer. They have a free site. It's like a page on their site. It's the Auction Insights Visualizer tool, and you can download the CSV from Google Ads from the UI and just literally have that file, and you just drag it into the visualizer, and it boom creates all the charts for you. And
Wow.
there's filters and drop downs that you can choose. It just makes it really nice and easy for less tech savvy people to have a free tool, 100% free. It's always been
Yeah.
free. I've used it for years. I have my own tools now, but it's still available, and it's great for just like quick visualizations when you're auditing an account or something like that. So that's another tool. Quick tip for you guys. Yep.
When you export that data, are you doing it on a daily, not exporting it daily, but are you segmenting it by daily, campaign, ad group, and keyword, or how much data is it usually? What date are you
Yeah, I
using?
think it's one of those foundational data analysis questions, and really it depends on what question I'm trying to answer or what it is that I'm trying to investigate. If it's a longer time period, I'm probably going to do monthly or weekly. If because if you're looking at last 14 days, you don't want to see weeks. Yeah, you don't want
Yeah.
to see months, obviously. So you're going to go daily. If you're looking at 180 days, let's say half year of data. Probably weekly is
Yeah.
fine. Monthly might skew things a little bit. If you're looking at a couple of years, maybe go by month. Again, it all depends on really how smooth you want to see the trends. Do you want to see at certain times a year that things are bumping up or going
Mm.
down? So I think it really depends on that. I don't think most need to segment by device. I think that's really overkill
Nah, dude.
nowadays, especially with smart bidding. It's like,
Yeah,
come on,
yeah,
who's really? I mean,
yeah,
most accounts don't need that level of granular analysis. I mean, if you have evidence that suggests that mobile versus desktop for certain ad groups or campaigns are really impactful, then hats off, go for it.
yeah,
Download by device, but for most accounts, probably not a concern. So don't worry about
yeah.
that segment. Yep.
And it doesn't even matter because most traffic is coming through mobile. So you can assume that 80% of the traffic or 70% of the traffic is mobile. Do the maths there. No, the reason I asked that, it's more of a data analytics question because I've
Mm-hmm.
noticed over time that it's better to have and the problem is by saying this, so much data is needed and it can slow down the APIs you use. But it's better to be pulling data on a daily basis because it might be that the
Of
client
course.
asks you for, hey, can we get a report on the performance last year versus
Mm-hmm.
this year? And you're like,
Mm-hmm.
cool, I do yearly. And like, oh, actually, can we have a look at the month breakdown? And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, actually, and can we just have a look at the last 30 days? And like
Yeah.
every time you do that, then you're going to have to either reprompt the API with different inputs. And I've just realized over time with one API call to do the based on the days, you can pull the last 7, 14, 30, last
Yeah.
month, every single month last year. And I found like whilst it can export multiple times more data, like significantly more,
Mm-hmm.
it gives you more flexibility. So then
Yeah.
you can actually dynamically just build out a dashboard faster for
Yeah.
clients. That's what I
Yeah.
find.
Yeah. So if we're talking like just general data analysis, yes, best practice wise, daily, because I want that granularity for,
Yeah.
for maximum flexibility, right? So we call that resampling, right? So resampling to weekly, resampling to monthly, quarterly, whatever. When you have it daily, you can resample it to whatever you want.
Yeah.
Just be careful about averaging averages. That's for my more advanced people out there. That happens. So like click through rates, the average click through rate, and then you try to resample it to weekly, and all of a sudden you're averaging the average. You got to be really careful about those
Yeah.
things. But anyway,
But that's why you
I
don't
thought you
pull
meant
in those averages. Wouldn't you just be pulling in clicks, impressions,
you should.
conversions, conversion value, and then the other things are manually
You
formulated,
got it.
CTR conversion rate.
Yep.
The only one that's like you got to be super careful about, and this is why this is the only data that doesn't fall in, is impression share. Like if someone's
Right.
wanting to look for the impression share, it has to be done. If you want to look at it on a monthly basis, you got to pull a
Mm-hmm.
query for it on a monthly basis. You can't be set because once again, that's an average, and you can't. There's no formula to get to the impression share.
Exactly. Yep. Yep. Good point. Yeah, we don't have a hard metric for that, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So that would be nice. I'd be interested to see how that would work itself out. But
Or
that's a
wouldn't it
good
just
point.
be
Yeah. So
impressions divided by
well,
market availability?
that's the thing. That's the other one is the one I want. I want to see
Yeah.
yeah. Well, what's the visibility factor? What kind of like
Yeah.
quantitative measure is
Because
that?
the
So that would be
impression
interesting.
share isn't it impression divided by market availability of data?
Potential. It yeah
Yeah.
like potential, I guess, like auction
Yeah.
potential, right? So that would be a great metric, but I know they did
But it's
probably for
obviously
privacy
there
reasons they can't.
because you
Well,
can
it's got to
reverse
be.
engineer it. Like if impression share is like 70%, I'm just doing my maths right now, and you had 700 impressions,
Yeah, you
that
divide
means
it
that
or
the
whatever.
markets would have been like
Yep.
1,000 market potentials.
Mm-hmm.
Market potentials. I'm
Market
phrasing that
potentials.
now. That's the worst one to call.
Tag it.
Um,
All right.
going through, yeah, I don't know why we're going down that rabbit hole. This is just data and this is just nerd talk. This
Now
is
it's
why I
nerd
love this stuff.
talk.
Now, the other thing, I'm just actually going to ask this. So I do it based on date and breakdown. When you're pulling the data just for a generic reporting,
Mhm.
not generic reporting, but the type of reporting, will you still pull it down by campaign, ad group, keyword? Because the way I pull the data, it's usually date, account, obviously, campaign, and then campaign type, and then pulling metrics from there. When you pull in the dimensions, not metrics, what dimensions would you be pulling in on, like for a typical report that you build?
Yeah, I mean, you have to. It all depends on you want different reports for different things. You can't pull a single report for every layer of the account. It just doesn't work that way. Like,
Yeah,
especially through the API, there's going to be some metrics that are available at some levels of the account and not others, and some segmentations that are available at some levels that are not available at others. So you need to, if you're really serious about it, you have to build your own sort of data warehouse, and you have
yeah,
keywords in one area, search terms in another.
yeah.
Sometimes just for speed of reporting or querying, you want to have just campaigns as a separate thing and intentionally not have ad groups or keywords in there. So,
That's what we
honestly,
do.
yeah, I
Just
mean, at
because
an
there's too
agency
much data to
level,
be coming through, man. Like there'd be
yeah,
millions and millions of rows instead of just
yeah.
having like 50,000 rows of data.
Yeah, I think for most, like, let's just like back to basics. I think for most, they're going to be looking at the campaigns a lot. You could probably rely on the UI for keyword and search term, especially
Yeah.
search terms, because man, talk about a lot of rows of data,
Yeah, man.
especially if you're only comfortable with like Google Sheets or something. Yeah, you should probably
Yeah.
be leaning on the UI as much as you can because it's going to slow down your computer. It's gonna be a big file, a lot of
And
search
the
terms.
APIs
So
actually do break as well, especially if you're splitting it out by day.
yeah, there's going to be things like query limits and stuff like that,
Yeah.
depending on your access level. But yeah, that's a lot more advanced technical topic. Is going to bore everybody, but yeah, I think for most, just you're probably going to be, if you're going to be downloading data and tracking over time, probably most often the account level campaigns specifically. Maybe ad groups if you have a lot of ad groups going on. But even for the most basic advertiser thing, just is keeping the campaign data downloaded and the auction insights too. Because one of the things I always think about is if we didn't have access to certain date ranges and now we do, is that going to go away again in the future? And like kind of
Mm.
being a little bit paranoid about it and just keeping that data somewhere so that I can refer to it later. This is true also of like quality scores over time, right? So there is a technical like metric like historical quality score, but it's not going to actually show you what the quality score was before. The only way you can track this is to have your own internal storage for quality scores by certain keywords. It's the only way you're going to track because Google doesn't allow you to go and say, what was the quality score for this keyword last year?
Yeah.
It's just going to be the most up to date quality score. So you got to have things in automated to pull the quality scores and track those changes over time. Honestly, I've found some huge potential opportunities and problems with accounts just by being able to track those things over time because nothing else was making any sense. And then we looked at the quality score tracking reports and trends, and we see that certain keywords that were really high volume had dropped a lot in quality score because of some of the changes we made to the site. So it's just
Interesting.
like, so you got to build your own internal storages, but that's a whole nother topic around data warehousing and just making sure that
Yeah.
you're not always waiting for Google to give you stuff. You gotta
Mm.
you gotta have your own internal storage for these things too. So, yep.
And just on a quickly to ask that, how often would it be calling the API calling into Google Ads to warehouse that once a day, like daily, weekly, monthly?
It's a cost question, really. I mean, I think for most, weekly is probably fine. Maybe even some monthly. That probably default to more of like a weekly. If you got storage space, you're fine with paying the
Yeah.
big query costs or whatever you like to use. Go ahead and do it daily because then if something majorly drops off from day one to day two because of a site change or something, you're going to see that
Yeah.
drop and you're not going to wonder like, well, it's this week versus this week.
Mm.
That changed. I mean, but again, most companies are not going to need that type of anomaly detection where it's like literally the day after it happens you need to jump on that. I mean, it's probably, we're talking quality score drops of like 8 to 6 or something where
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, it's a problem, but is it like an overnight chaos? Probably
Yeah.
not. You could probably do that weekly, but again, getting kind of in the weeds there. Yeah.
Nice.